It is the Mosley Show, and here we go. 1 o'clock, Monday through Friday. Tomorrow, we may try to do a little something special with the show because we're going to be live on site at the Scott Drew Invitational out there at Bear Ridge, and should be a good time. Be out there on the 6th hole. And I think, and I was just talking to Kevin about this, Z-Man is in today, and we'll bring Z on here in a minute. Always fun to have Zach, good friend. He's also produces the Doomsday podcast. We did 3 of those episodes recently and got some great feedback, big numbers. So always fun to have the Z-Man. He's in today. But we may go ahead and go live tomorrow at around 11 and take it 11 to 1 instead of our usual 1 to 3. That's kind of what I'm thinking might work out the best. And that way we're out there on site. We got 4 straight hours of some YouTubing, whatever it is we do. And people will be jumping on, Scott Drew and some of the assistant coach. You may have a few players out there. This is a big to-do, all right? And Rogue has the exclusive rights to this Scott Drew Invitational. Z, what do you think I did to win us the exclusive rights? I just called. I knew who to call. And the driving force behind this tournament, spearheading all of this, is Michael Hillman from Cornerstone. And then there are so many huge sponsors they have, like Campus Realtors and Joey Corona and his bunch and many others. You got to see just a peek at Z. I like that Z jumped in. He jumped back out. He's doing, in typical Mosley form, I've given Z several things at the last minute, and so he's working on a few things. But also wanted to start the show today. She's at school, so she's a big-time junior high student there in McKinney. But my niece, we call her Lively. She is Mary Lively Logsden, and we're celebrating her birthday today. Today is May 7th. And it was a big day, and boy, it changed our lives forever when she entered the world. And so big time celebration happening. I believe she will gather with all her friends there in McKinney this evening. You never know when one of the random uncles, she's got several, but I'm the only one, I think. Am I the only uncle living within earshot, within, the Metroplex? I'm just trying to think of where everybody is. One's in Amarillo. One's in Nashville, one's in Columbus, Ohio, one's in Colorado Springs. I think I am. So then there's some aunts. Okay, we don't want to leave the aunts out. There's an aunt in Nashville as well that I went to Baylor with, who watches our show. Bethany watches our program, so shout out to her. But great to be with you today, and I will probably be the only uncle to crash the event, perhaps this evening's event, because I really, that's what most junior high girls want, is some weird uncle showing up who wears sunglasses indoors. Now, Z-Man, go ahead and enter the program, okay? And then you'll because we're at 1:30 are going to call upon you. Oh, there's that light. Gosh. I see there's a little light from your screen that occasionally illuminates your face. It kind of comes and goes.
There's one what do you call the bulbs, like fluorescent lights up there that just hits perfectly. No, it just hits perfectly that one little beam down that my hat sometimes blocks.
Are you in the
I'm in the new place.
The Rogue Studios?
The new ones, yeah, that they're still kind of working on, yeah.
Ooh. Up there, high above the Alico building, or are we in a different building now?
We're in a different building now. We're a couple blocks down. Still on Austin, though.
I don't know, man. I don't know. People don't tell me anything. You're not in those gorgeous studios down there on, what is that on? That's right off MLK.
Oh, on Elm. Yeah, no, these are our new digs that we're working on over off of Austin. Yeah.
I'm waiting for that day. There have been talks of a Dallas studio. Ooh, how great would that be?
Oh, that'd be
now,
nice.
Who would that be accommodating? That would be accommodating
you,
Mosley and Sousa.
Oh,
Sousa is getting married, and so we're now everything has to be around Sousa's marriage. In fact, we had hoped Pete would attend tomorrow's event. He's going to be in Philadelphia getting his wedding license. I thought in Philadelphia you just kind of showed up, and I mean, really, okay. I didn't really think you had to be too formal with it, but that's good. That's good. We're very excited for Pete's nuptials that will happen. Z, that's another word for wedding, and that will happen in Philly. And Z, you and I are both close to Pete. Both have a really good friendship with him. I would say both you and I not on the list. No. Did not quite make the list. Although I was invited to one of the couples showers.
I think I was invited to one too.
That was like about a year ago. And you and I obviously could not quite make it out there. I'm sure we had a great reason for not going.
We might have had a doomsday. We had a doomsday. That's what we did. That's why neither of us made it. Yeah.
I think so. I think that's exactly what we had. All right. I did want to begin. Do you know where the breaking news sounder is? You know, like how to play.
Think I can find it.
Just hit like a random sound.
I don't think you want a random. I need to find something that's
anything to. It's the what we use now is, the thing that you play right before everybody yells charge.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's breaking news. So as the show goes on today, if there is breaking news, and Lord, I hope there is, we'll have some of that. Later in the program, we're going to weigh in a little bit more on the construction of this Baylor basketball team. That Jake Lindsey deal has gotten a lot of play and a lot of response. And so there's some excitement around that. Let's see. Aaron Rodgers. This is the breaking news earlier today from Ian Rappaport. I woke up to this today. All right. Very early. You can imagine how early I like to get up. Z-Man. I mean, maybe even before 5. Aaron Rodgers is expected to visit the Steelers this weekend. Okay, because this guy does not create enough drama. There is no agreement between the Steelers and Rodgers at this time. The Steelers are holding their rookie minicamp this weekend, beginning Friday. Steelers president Art Rooney II told the NFL Network last week that he remained confident Rodgers would be the team's quarterback in 2026. There is a belief that he is going to show up and he is going to play. If he doesn't, what do they have? They've got the kid from used to be at K-State. That's Will Howard. Mm-hmm. Did they draft somebody?
That's what I'm looking real quick.
The 5th round, they did, I think. Where did Beck go? Anyway, they drafted somebody. It's not a who's who. All right, it's not
Drew Aller. Is that who they got then?
Yeah, that sounds right. Just played up the road.
From Penn State.
Played up the road at Penn State. You're right, Aller. Omar Khan and Mike McCarthy said before the draft the Steelers were not putting a deadline on the 42-year-old quarterback to notify the team of his decision. If Rodgers were to sign, they did put that weird UFA tender on Rodgers late last month, ensuring they would be eligible to secure a compensatory draft pick if he signed with another team. Now, what's really weird, Z, is that now I think Ian Rappaport technically works for ESPN. So when Rappaport puts something out, the ESPN, that's ESPN. It's not really NFL Network anymore. They can just claim everybody's work. All right. I mean, I think even if I broke something today, I think ESPN would say ESPN's Matt Mosley just because I used to work for them. Although I haven't had a paycheck from them in quite some time. I would like that to change. Rodgers, who will turn 43 during the 26th season, acclimated seamlessly to the Steelers in 2025 after signing a 1-year, $13.65 million contract before their June minicamp. I'm sorry, was that just a seamless deal with Rodgers last year in the Steelers? Is that really the greatest word we could use? I don't remember every bit of that feeling seamless last year. Here's the awkward deal. Rodgers won 2 of his 4 NFL MVP awards playing under McCarthy and a Super Bowl championship after the 2010 season when Green Bay defeated the Steelers in Super Bowl XLV. I never can know what those mean. Is that 45? I don't know what that is. That may be 45. Super Bowl 45. I was there. I can tell you that. I was there to cover that game, and I believe that game happened right there at AT&T Stadium in Cowboys land. And we screwed that Super Bowl up in every possible way you could. All right, just ice storms. I mean, that wasn't really our fault, but we just didn't know how to respond to the ice storms. And then a seating malfunction where they brought in a bunch of fans, and then they had seating that was not trustworthy, and some of them couldn't get into the Super Bowl. I mean, after, buying tickets, it was a mess. All right. But let me just say this. I think some of Aaron's favorite times in the NFL were with Mike McCarthy, and some of his least favorite times. I think deep down, this is just Mosley stuff here. This is not, Ian Rappaport, who, by the way, I reached out to during the draft week, and Ian will be on with us soon, so that'll be fun. This is not any kind of like Ian Rappaport type deal. This is Mosley's gut telling him this. This guy does not want to play for McCarthy again. And deep down, McCarthy doesn't want to coach him again. This is a weird arranged marriage that, because the Steelers haven't really done anything at quarterback, and they're held hostage by a soon-to-be 43-year-old quarterback who's dang near my age. Like, it's amazing when a quarterback is within seven years of Mosley. That's a weird deal. Because I do not think of myself as a man who can still really accomplish much athletically. But here is a man not far on my heels that is still playing in the NFL. So good for him. Tom Brady played until he was about 44, maybe, or 45. Now Aaron Rodgers is going to play into his 43rd year on this earth. And actually, once he turns 43, right, he'll be into his 44th year on this earth. I don't think either guy is excited about this. Now, the problem for McCarthy is he doesn't have a good solution. Aller wasn't even that great for Penn State. And now, what happens is when a quarterback doesn't live up to his potential, kind of like Garrett Nussmeier at LSU, we then spend the next 12 months saying, he was hurt. I promise he was hurt. That's the deal. And so that they'll do that with Aller now. Well, he wasn't himself. He wasn't right. He wasn't right physically. And Will Howard's going to be ready to go. They don't have any other great solution right now. They need Aaron Rodgers, even though you should never put yourself in a position where you need a 43-year-old quarterback. Tampa Bay needed it, and they won a Super Bowl with it. when Tom was probably 41, something like that, 40 or 41. And then they tested it a little too far, and they got themselves beat in the playoffs by who? The old Dallas Cowboys. That's right. That's right. Cowboys occasionally, on rare occasions, do have success in the playoffs. Not like great success, but like moderate little baby step success. And one of those games happened against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right. I think that Cowboys actually won a playoff game, as shocking as that seems. Now, of course, the Cowboys are like the Super Bowl contenders because of what they've done with their defense, which is not, by the way, I love Caleb Downs and I love some of these additions. They have not done anything remotely that makes anybody on this defense as feared as Micah Parsons. And I know people love to say, well, look at all the players they got. Look at Kenny Clark. Look at that. Look at what they turned into Quinnen Williams. Okay. All right. This is turned into back in the old days, Z, to reminisce a little bit. The derisive nickname for the Cowboys was next year's champions. And this is what this feels like to me. Oh my gosh, look at this. Look at what we've put together. Look at this team on paper. Look at this starting lineup. Look how different this is. Okay, that's fine. But you are depending on rookie Malachi Lawrence, rookie Caleb Downs. I mean, just right up and down the deal. You're hoping Barham turns into an off-the-ball linebacker. You're hoping D. Winters steps in and can wear the green dot and can be your Mike linebacker. You're hoping Overshone can stay healthy. You're hoping Deron Bland can stay on the field. There are still enormous question marks on this defense. So I hate to rain on everybody's parade, but speaking of parades, we've had this long parade for Christian Parker, the new defensive coordinator, and then all these rookies come rolling in, and D. Winters and Rashawn Gary, who came in free agency, and we're just supposed to act like, okay, Super Bowl, where do we show up? Where's the Super Bowl this year? Miami, or I can't remember where it is, but wherever it is, let's all go. And Z, by the way, let's get in line now, because Rogue was just handing out Super Bowl trips like candy last year. I mean, it's just, Pete, you want to go? You know, Cam Stewart, how are you doing up there in Boston? You hanging out, enjoying watching the Bruins? All right, well, you go to the Super Bowl. All right, that's the way Z, let's get this. Let's you and I, let's get to the Super Bowl next year. What do you say?
I'm down for that. I would like a return visit.
How could you send Sousa and not send Mosley?
Yeah.
I mean, like, literally, it was kind of like when I brought it up, it was like, oh, yeah, we should have done that. Didn't really think. Like, okay, guys, appreciate it. No, it's all about the man who brings the candles with him. And he is a man over at that other, the Posh Studio. All right. He is a long running Super Bowl guy. But Z-Man, I used to go every year, and we'll get that going again. What other, the other semi-breaking news, but we don't need the sounder for this.
Okay.
But since you are a big baseball man, stay with me for this.
All right.
They were playing the Diamondbacks last night. I'm talking about the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm talking about my childhood team. And honestly, they'd gotten crushed the night before. They'd been on a nice run. They swept the Reds. Like the problem with the Pirates are fun. They've got good pitching, and they got some fun players. The problem is they play in a division where everybody's pretty good. And like the Cubs, the Reds, and it's just like that NL Central. You can't point to anybody and go, they stink. Everybody's pretty good. Mm-hmm. So on one hand, they're probably only a game or a half game out of the wild card, but everybody in the division. In fact, the other day I noticed that there were the last place team in the NL Central, only two teams in the American League had a better record. than the last place team in the NL Central.
They're the only division in all of baseball where every team has a winning record in the division.
Cardinals are good.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the Reds, who are in last place, are 20-17 still.
Oh, Pirates are out of last?
Well, technically, I guess both the Pirates and Reds are tied, but they have, you know how they...
Yeah. Like there's sometimes they're percentage points, or if they're truly the exact same percentage points, they'll do it alphabetically. I don't know how they do it. But let me just say this. Skenes goes to the mound last night. Paul Skenes. I mean, he had a really bad outing to start the season. He had a really bad first inning. Since then, since that blow up inning where he gave up like 4 or 5 runs, maybe more, his numbers are beyond belief. Z, like I was looking at today, the whip, whatever a good whip is, what is that? 0.55 or something, or 0.55, like whip. ERA unreal. His ERA on the season now is 2.36. I think since that day, after that inning, it's like 1 something.
Mm-hmm.
He's been awesome. Last night against the D-backs, somebody called me and said, hey, he's flirting with a no-no again, flirting with a perfect game. He had a perfect game going. There were 2 outs in the 7th inning, his last time out or recent outing. And then this time he got to like 2 outs in the 5th, I think. Ends up going 8 innings, 96 pitches, 68 strikes, 2 hits, and then somebody named Soto. I don't really know their bullpen yet, really, this year. Soto came in, got the job done in the 9th. They win that game 1-0 because the one thing about the Pirates, even though Reynolds hits, O'Neill Cruz is a fun player. O'Hearn's a pretty decent hitter. They got Connor Griffin now, the rookie sensation. He just turned 20. I mean, it's a somewhat fun lineup, but they still will go through games where they just can't hit at all or can't score. But they did. What's that guy? Does he pronounce it Lau instead of Lowe? Lowe, the guy from the Rays, isn't it? Brandon. I always thought
it was Lowe. I just assumed since it's spelled the same way Izzo Nate's was, I thought that it was Brandon. I always thought it was Brandon Lowe, but I could be wrong. It could be Lau.
Yeah, for some reason Lau is in my mind, but came over from the Rays, and he was one of those guys that would hit like, 14, 15 home runs. Then one year he hit 39 home runs. And then and then he kind of come down a little bit. Last season, I think he hit 31 home runs, and he's got 9 already for the Buccos, and he hit one in the first inning last night. So, yeah, and he may be good enough, Z, that we should learn his name. But for now, yeah, we know what LOWE should sound like, should be like. But I'm a little bit.
You are correct. He does pronounce it Lau, like now or wow.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm a little bit snake bit because I was studying so hard for the Baylor men's tennis coach yesterday, and there's just so many interesting ways to say. And the other day I asked Kevin to one thing. I was doing a bunch of stuff right before the show. And I said, Kevin, I hadn't said the new Mavericks president's name in a while. And Ujiri seemed right in my mind, Masai Ujiri. But
you wanted to be sure.
Yeah. I wanted to be sure. So Kevin sends me the phonetic. He looks it up, and he sends it to me. And after saying it throughout the show, I realized that my original thing that I'd had in my head was right. Kevin did give me the wrong. And so, but again, Kevin tried. He just looked at, I think sometimes people phonetically write things down weird. And like to somebody's eye, saying Jee, but I needed to see the words like Jeer, Jeer, or however you would say Jeer, but that's how you say it. Masai Ujiri. I'm sure Kevin appreciates me bringing that up. But Kevin does excellent work. Kevin is on assignment today because Z, if you knew where Kevin was today, I think Rogue desperately needed him to be at this place where he is today, just because I think it could be the future of our country sports.
Okay.
All right. I do. I think he's doing a very important thing, and we'll leave it at that. For old Kev, let's see if somebody just texted me. I thought maybe he was listening, but he's on the road going to some kind of deal. All right, Kev. All right, Z. Here's what we're gonna do. Strong opening later in the show to end the show. We're gonna let people hear from. We're getting a lot of feedback on that interview we did, and they put it up on Sick'em 365 as well, and it just got huge feedback. And it's Jake Lindsay, the Jake Lindsay interview. And so later in the show today, I don't know, about 40 after, about 2:40, we'll play some of that for you. Does that sound good, Z?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I didn't want to put too much on your plate there, but
no,
all right. Okay. Next, though, we are going to do some campus confidential. Lots going on in college athletics, lots of change happening. And I got a college baseball thing to bounce off of you, too. That is next.
It's the premier charity event of the year, the 2026 Central Texas Cattle Barons Ball, presented by Ascension Providence. A fun evening filled with great food and drink, dancing, a spectacular auction, and more. This year's theme is Nashville Nights, Neon Lights, and Bullfights. Get your tickets now, donate, or be a sponsor. Help support the American Cancer Society to find a cure. The 2026 Central Texas Cattle Barons Ball, October 24th at MCC Highlander Ranch. For more information, go to centraltexascattlebaronsball.org.
Enjoy a quiet atmosphere with beautiful river views at the Brazos Landing, located in Waco along the Brazos River across from McLean Stadium. Enjoy homemade dishes like shrimp and grits, chicken piccata, braised short ribs, prime New York steaks, and more. Plus, enjoy a delicious dessert like creme brulee or key lime pie. Open for lunch and dinner Tuesday through Sunday. Brazos Landing in Waco, the only place where I-35 and the Brazos River meet.
At Schmaltz Sandwich Shop, we don't just make sandwiches, we build them with fresh ingredients, bold flavors, and homemade baked bread every single day. Toasty on the outside, goodness on the inside. Schmaltz Sandwich Shop in Waco is locally owned and operated since 1975 with 2 locations in Waco, Town West off Valley Mills and downtown off 5th Street. Whether it's lunch, dinner, or just a craving, we got the perfect bite waiting for you.
Lake Waco Golf Club is a semi-private facility nestled along the north point of Lake Waco, one of the few facilities in Texas to have a full 18-hole regulation golf course as well as an executive 18-hole par 3 golf course. Plus, check out their bar and grill, which is open to the public. And if you're not a golfer, then enjoy time by the pool or even enjoy fishing around Lake Waco. Become a member today and call to book your tee time. Lake Waco Golf Club, where family and friends fun begins. Check them out at lakewacogc.com for more information.
When you strive for greatness, you have a target on your back. And when it comes to finances, we're all targets for scammers. With the right game plan, you can protect yourself. Don't get faked by fraud.
Here's a tip. Don't click on links in emails and text messages. Scammers send emails and texts that look real, saying there's a problem with your account or your order. Don't click. Don't do it, ever. Instead, go directly to the company's website and log in there.
This message is brought to you by Central National Bank.
All right. It is the Mosley show, the Z-Man. Look at him. He's got his Rangers cap. Rangers kind of scuffling along about 17 and 19, just trying to stay afloat. in what appears to be kind of a bad division. I don't think the Astros are very good right now.
I was about to ask you that just to get your opinion real quick before we dove into the Campus Confidential, because I had that thought too. I know that honestly, the AL West isn't necessarily always like one of the best divisions in baseball, but it still usually has at least a team or two that can, cause some problems for other teams, and will be a decent playoff team. But this has to be just one of the worst years for the start of the AL West in a while, right?
Yeah, and hasn't Seattle been good in recently in recent years? And obviously the Astros have obviously they cheated at one point, but they had an incredible postseason run. I don't, and the A's are just out there like hanging out in Sacramento. Nobody even cares about them, right? And so it's hard to even, it feels like Angels hadn't been good in forever, Who's even leading the division? Did you look?
Yeah. I had it up earlier and I forgot to look. I think it might. Well, last time I checked, it was. I'm not even going to guess.
It'd be hilarious.
It is the A's. It's still the A's. They're 18-8.
If the A's, oh my gosh. Well, okay. So there's one good team in the division. Where would they host series at that place?
They can't. Right?
How many people does it hold?
That's what I'm looking up. It's where hold on.
Probably like 15. I mean, the funny thing
is the River Cats, isn't that the minor league team that played there?
It's where they it's kind of the crowd they were used to playing in front of in Oakland. Kind of a smallish crowd, right? I mean, they're not. You can't be like, oh my gosh, there's no fans here. I bet it
holds 10,000. There's 10,000 fixed seats, 14,014, including lawn and standing room.
I would love to see a playoff series end up there.
Check it out.
And now what they would use, and it's gonna be embarrassing for the Rangers. They would probably try to use, like they did during COVID, they would probably try to use the Globe Life.
Oh yeah,
and let the A's be the home team at Globe Life. What an embarrassment! Embarrassment.
There was an odd feeling then of like, oh, there's World Series games being played at Globe Life, but the Rangers aren't a part of them. It was just very odd. Like, obviously, I know why they made the decision when they did it, but as a Rangers fan at the time, I was like, I thought that I'd be a little bit more excited when that finally happened. But it's another Dodgers title.
What are they building in Vegas? Like, when is this coming to fruition?
I thought it was going to be the 2027 season. I could be wrong.
Okay. By the way, I got a little breaking news for you, and this can be like a really good.
Do we want the sounder?
Yes. This guy's gotten offers from A&M and a lot of different places. He's an outside linebacker for Lake Highlands. I can see the stadium right out my window right now. I'm just like a couple of blocks away from the stadium. So he's a 2028 kid. Mm-hmm. So he'd be going into his junior season. 6'2", I bet he's 210 now. Outside linebacker, just unbelievable young player. Got offered today at Alabama. Just got the Alabama offer. He's been to A&M camp. He's been to some A&M practices recently. I need to clue in the Bears. Need to get the Bears on him, because I was just looking at his people that tune in for our Baylor background. They like it when we give them a little insight on a high school player they might not be hearing about. Mm-hmm. He had received offers recently from Arkansas, K-State, Purdue, who is this? Majors foot. You know what I love about these kids? Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry. This is a different kid. Okay, yeah, all those I just mentioned though, and thing I like about kids like this though, he get on his social media, he gets most excited when his teammates get like offers from these small schools and stuff. That's pretty neat. You know what I mean?
Oh,
You're getting these huge offers, and I think that's pretty cool. Oh, on April 16th too, the son of a great friend of mine got his first offer, a linebacker to play for East Central University Tigers down there in Oklahoma. All right, so that's good. But yeah, this Israel Samuel I'm telling you about, offer from OU, offer from A&M. Wow. I mean, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. So we'll keep an eye on Wake Forest.
Some nice offers.
Yeah. And once you commit, you can still take, obviously visits, but in this day and age, if you're like a big recruit, and this guy, I mean, I don't know, to me, he's on the verge of being like a 4-star type recruit. Those schools, if you're committed, if you're to visit their school, if they still want you to visit, they got to pay up. Like these kids, it's pretty amazing. They'll pay a kid. No, I'm not talking about this kid.
Yeah.
In general, 5-star types, if they're already committed, and to get them to visit your campus, you got to go ahead and flip them about 40 or 50K. That is the world we live in. Pretty amazing. All right, Z. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna just correct myself on one thing I looked up. It's the 2028 season is when it's going to open for Vegas. So the A's have to spend one more year in Sacramento, one more season.
Have you seen like renderings of that ballpark or anything?
The new one, like very early ones. It looks, the one that I saw, I thought that it made it seem like it was just kind of like almost right there on the strip, but it just seems like I don't know how that would be possible.
Now that they have that sphere thing, don't you feel like that's the landmark? We think of everything like, will it be next to the sphere?
Yeah. Well, so like the rendering of their ballpark too has like a screen that kind of comes down and they project kind of like they do in the sphere, like the scoreboard and stuff like on that screen there. And I'm very interested to see, like we haven't seen Vegas teams in most of the major sports. Like we have the Raiders just moved there in the NFL, and then we have obviously the Golden Knights in hockey. But when we get like full on just Vegas teams with the NBA and MLB, I'm interested to see like how much of that just like showmanship and pizzazz they just want to like put out there for all of it. Cause I have to just imagine it's going to be a lot. And then some of it's going to be funny because it's still the A's. But I was going to use to get into Campus Confidential. You went ahead. I had a very small one, but it just tied in because you mentioned Wake Forest.
Yeah.
In the list of schools he had, I read an article before we get into the bigger college football thing from today, or to cover today, but that the ACC is thrilled that Wake Forest and Syracuse are opening the 2027 season in Toronto.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And the Canadians have to be so excited to get some kind of featured matchup, ACC matchup.
Syracuse and Wake Forest.
This is a football game because back in the day, we would have enjoyed a good hoops matchup between these two teams. Now, I would say Syracuse basketball is kind of lame. Wake Forest, a little bit the same. But now football-wise, also lame. Those people like CFL. They like the Toronto Argonauts.
That's true. Do you watch a lot of CFL ever? You catch the Grey Cup? Okay.
No, I don't really care about that. But, I just don't really I don't know, because I feel like Brett Yormark loves this kind of stuff too. Hey, we're going over to Mexico City. Hey, we're going to play a game in Ireland. Like who does this push the needle for? Like, I don't think, like, if Baylor decided to go play K-State over in Dublin, even though we're green, and there's a lot of green, that has to do with Ireland, I don't think we would really turn the country into a bunch of Baylor fans. I don't really ever understand. Even in the NFL, I'm sure they wouldn't be doing it if there weren't like a merchandising angle, a way to make a whole bunch of money. But even now, though, I never feel like those games like change those countries. Oh my gosh, we got the Jags and the Rams are playing over here. Man, this is awesome.
Yeah, I don't feel like you walk through London and you were just greeted with a sea of teal and black. Like I don't see that happening. They care more about soccer and their football there than they ever do about the Jags. But it is interesting. I at least understand a little bit, I feel like, in the NFL's case, because I've always thought that Roger Goodell has wanted the league to be like a more global kind of thing. The same thing where like the NBA decided to play all these games over like, in China and stuff too. It's just trying to expand the brand. And I get that. With college football, though, like you said, I don't understand it as much because it seems like each brand is more either on like a conference or university basis. So like, are they hoping that Toronto just turns into a big, Syracuse Orangemen like fan base? That part's just a little strange to me. But the bigger story or parts that I thought was interesting. This was a couple days ago. But the AFCA board has proposed 4 changes to the college football calendar. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
Okay. Those 4 being that they want to end conference championship games, reduce opening weeks in seasons from there being 2 to just 1 opening week, preserving a window for that Army-Navy game in December while still allowing other postseason games to be played there, and then also reducing the minimum number of games days between games where they don't want any more than 6. So teams can, I'm assuming that they're talking about just all games, not just like, because bye weeks and stuff there, but they want the window to be like there's football throughout the season at least once a week.
All right. I will say, and remind me to bring up the NCAA basketball tournament. You just jogged my memory on something.
Okay.
Because finally, some people with some guts, some coaches stepped up and lent their name and talked about how dumb it is to expand this tournament. And everybody was kind of I felt like everybody publicly had their marching orders. Hey, this will be great. And finally, a few people came out and said, no, this is dumb, because America doesn't want this. Media, fans, nobody wants this. Yet we're going to do it because there's some kind of, it's either a money grab or it's to accommodate and assuage the egos of some of these power conferences. Oh gosh, let's get OU. Let's get a bad Porter Moser OU team into this tournament. Oh my gosh, UT had a bad year. Let's find a way to get them in is really what this is about. Although in UT's defense, they got into this tournament and made it to the Sweet 16. So let's not knock them too badly. Now, this thing, can there be too much of a good thing? The answer is yes. I don't think America may think it wants. I think we're okay with the conference championship games going away, especially for those of us that have been Big 12 fans. We didn't even have it for several years, and it was not like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe we're the only ones without a championship game. Think of all the things we're missing. No, we weren't really. We had to do it because the numbskulls wouldn't claim a conference champion when Baylor and TCU ended up tied 2014, and it ended up screwing both schools. TCU had their argument. Baylor had their argument, which was better because Baylor beat TCU head to head. But, it didn't work out. So now the thought is, let's have a 24-team playoff. Because it's always like, our argument is like, the season goes too long. This thing is spread out too long. So here's how we're going to combat that. We're going to expand the tournament, the playoff, to 24 teams instead of 12. Now, again, who has the best playoffs in all of sport? Well, some would argue NHL, but a lot would argue the NFL, mainly because we are most familiar with that. The ratings are astronomical, and they seem to have threaded the needle. It's not, baseball will still be like, hey, let's add a couple more wild card teams. Hey, let's do this, let's do that. It's fine. It's not great. It's fine. NFL seems to have hit upon the playoff schedule that works the best. So the college football, which a lot of times says we want to do things to make us even more popular, like the NFL, their response to this is, let's double the amount of teams that get in. Ugh. If you think this can happen without watering down the season, you are wrong. Matt, these teams are going to play for positioning. They're going to play for seeding. Okay, maybe so. Oh, Matt, they're going to play for the home field. They've already managed to install something going into this season which will protect Notre Dame, their cherished baby, which apparently we all have to bow down, at the altar of Notre Dame football. And that will happen going into this next playoff. Now, Z, you're about to say, what do you think?
I was just kind of agreeing with you there then too, that it seems like it waters it down to a point. I have the note, and I'll remind you right now then for your next point about the NCAA basketball tournament that you wanted to make.
Yeah.
But that's like, I think of that in a way then too, of where it's like, once they went from 64 to 68, I kind of felt like, all right, that's kind of where it needs to, stay. Like if we get too much, it dilutes it down. When we went from 4 to the initial 12 now with the college football playoff, I was like, okay, we've expanded. Everybody should be happy. And then now it's like you talked about the move to 24. What is that? I don't understand. Like I get obviously like making the whole all these games are meaningful and all this, but how many people are you actually going to get to tune in to watch? I'm sure there'll be buys and all this, but like a top 5 team just run roughshod over like ECU or somebody like that. I understand that NILs has changed the game of college football, but not all of these matchups are going to be great matchups.
No.
And then by the time you start, when are you going to have to start this then? In the middle of December? Is it going to be Army? I mean, you already do that obviously with bowl season now, but are these playoffs going to start before we even get Army Navy in the year to squeeze them all in? I don't know the scheduling. I think it dilutes and makes some of the first round games weaker and not necessarily fun college football games. And I just think that the whole mentality of just expanding, you take away some of the the drive or the journey to get there. The 12 teams that make it, even was 4, they put in the work to do there. It kind of makes it to where you can get in with an easier resume every year, where it doesn't, and we're going to have 3 loss, 4 loss, maybe even 5 loss teams, and that doesn't seem like a college football playoff game.
Our only hope is that the SEC and Sankey, who I think kind of runs everything, hasn't really been on board with this. This is a Big Ten driven, now they've won the last 3 national titles. I don't think the Big Ten is deep as the SEC, but at the top, right? Obviously it's been better recently. If this comes in, think about it. You got 24 teams. How many of those teams will they try to make from the Big Ten and the SEC? And the answer is as many as they can. And probably 12 to 15 teams would come from those 2 conferences, and everybody else would have to fight around for the scraps. So I think the ACC and the Big 12 better really watch out here, because in their thought process is probably, hey, we can get, Tech, BYU, and maybe one other. Maybe we can get Arizona State in there. If we go to 24, we maybe get 4 teams in there. This is not about you. This is not about it. This is about, and again, that leads to my other point that I appreciate you reminding me. I had Scott Drew on recently, and I gently pushed back on this idea he had of he is for the expansion from 68 to 76 teams in the NCAA tournament. And his reasoning is because he used to be at Valpo. And because some of those mid-majors that he still has a lot of respect and love for, the thought is this could get more of them in. That, as I told him, is not why this is happening. This is to jam an OU, an Auburn, Indiana, an Ohio State if they're on the bubble. This is to get more of the big brands from the biggest 2 conferences into the tournament. This has nothing to do with some sort of altruistic deal. All right, it's not about that. So I think it's all kind of fascinating to watch. It's funny. I just saw something come in from Scott Drew. I'm like, did you hear? Are your ears?
His ears were burning. Yeah,
your ears burning there, Scott. It's probably regarding tomorrow's golf tournament.
But just to add to your point, I'm sorry, while you were doing that, and you're exactly right, though, because with moving from 12 to 24, it's not to get more of those, like, I'm trying to think of who else it would. It's not to get more of those Tulanes or those James Madisons in. It's to get more SEC and Big Ten teams in.
Yeah, and what I was hitting on earlier is thank you. Thank you, Coach Cal. Thank you, some of the big dogs. I think Danny's one of them, too. And you go, well, these guys are going to be in there no matter what. Coach Cal came up and said, the only reason I could sign off on this expansion is if you truly wrote it into the rules that of the additional 8 teams, that half of them have to be mid-majors. Thank you, sir, for using your platform to actually, and is it fake? I don't know. Maybe so, maybe not. But at least try to get something out of this other than what this probably is. I would imagine if you expand this thing by 8, the committee's charge will be to, it will be heavily weighed toward getting more big dogs in there. So, but thank you to, I don't know, is Mark Few. I'm not exactly sure because that didn't sound like Mark, because Gonzaga years ago used to be what you'd call a mid-major. Certainly with their success, we don't think of them as a mid-major anymore. We think of them as a high major. But I just like that some coaches came out and said, this is dumb. This expansion is dumb, because like the one thing, Goodman infuriates me, some of the things he does, because like Jeff Goodman for the Field of 68 used to be at ESPN. I get along with Jeff fine, but I don't love people that kind of come to town, kiss up to your program, and then turn around and just kill it. Like when they're down, kick them while they're down. And that's kind of the stuff he does that bugs me. And I wish Grant McCaslin wouldn't be as kind toward media members like that as he is, because when they hired Grant McCaslin, you know what Jeff Goodman said? They settled for Grant McCaslin. I mean, as big as he could say, they settled for him. Well, now that he's done an incredible job there, Jeff Goodman wants to have him on his podcast constantly. And Grant is kind and does that. I'm a little more vindictive than some of these people, because I kind of have a memory of some of these things. But you know what, Zach, we all need people in our lives that demonstrate grace.
It's very true.
And demonstrate forgiveness. So maybe I should be more like Grant in that regard. Although Grant does remember, and Grant gives that guy some grief. Now, we'll hear more. We're going to hear a little bit from Jake Lindsay later this hour. All right. And that'll be fun. I had one more nugget for you, Z. Florida State and Georgia.
I had that too. Yep.
Oh, well, go ahead. Go ahead.
No. If you, okay.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that Florida State and Georgia announced today that their home and away series for 2027-2028, that they are canceling it due to both of them moving to 9-game league schedules.
Yeah, and see, by doing that, it eliminates that silly late season week 8, week 10
Alabama game. Chattanooga game.
Yes, that's good. This is going to initially, though, hurt these non-conference early season games that we really enjoy. See, this one I kind of understand a little more because both Florida State and Georgia already play those in-state non-conference rivalry games at the end of the season. That's Georgia Tech, and that's Florida State, Florida. So I think in like the case of Notre Dame, USC looked scared. They called off a great long-term, maybe Notre Dame bears some of the responsibility too, but I thought USC ended up looking scared in that deal. Oh, but we have to cancel that. They've been playing that game. That's been a great rivalry game for years upon years. The Florida State athletic director said he was, quote, optimistic that a neutral site deal will get done between these teams, adding that the schedule change, quote, will not reduce the total home games on our schedule moving forward. So ACC's moving into a 9-game conference. Schedule. 5 teams will play 8 ACC games for non-conference scheduling reasons, including Florida State, which wanted to play its return game at Alabama. That's interesting. So ACC will have some teams playing 9-game, some not.
That is weird.
Big 12 has been doing 9-game for a long time. SEC is beginning this season on a 9-game conference schedule. Remind me, Z, what's Big 10 do?
I think theirs is. I'll double check. I thought theirs was also 9. Was it not?
Is it? Okay. All right. Well, everybody's trying to get in there, so there'll be a little more. Again, we'll do all this stuff. We'll make all these moves to try to keep the Big 10 and SEC happy. And then when they get the chance, they will move away from all of us. That is, if you think the end game is doing what's best for all fans and then all schools across America, you are dreaming. The Big 10 and SEC wakes up every day thinking of further ways they can make more money. And if that means eliminating the 2 other so-called Power 4 conferences, they would do it. They can't eliminate it, but they can just kind of secede and just go off on their own. And if they get to the point where they can do it, and that makes them not have to share so much money. What they hate is having to share any kind of CFP money with any of these other people. All right. And that's why they want to guarantee how many teams get in. So there's never a weird year where the Big 12 somehow gets as many teams. Now, they probably control the CFP committee more than we even understand or realize. Because guess who makes the rules for the CFP criteria. Oh, Matt, it's the CFP. It's the CFP, right? It's the executive board of the CFP. Come on, don't kid yourself. It's Greg Sankey, and it's old boy over there who runs the Big Ten.
Oh,
Petiti, Tony Petiti.
Tony Petiti.
I just like to call him old boy. All right, good stuff. Did you have any more, or are we good?
I just had one more quick one announced today, that the player era championship or hoops event that Baylor was a part of this last year and is supposed to be again this year, that they have announced it's growing big, but they and ESPN have reached a multi-year agreement, and then they're going to expand that tournament now to 24 teams as well. From the 16, I think they had this last year, right? I think it was 16.
Wow.
The teams listed, like at least
the Bears are in it. The Bears are in it. Yeah, and they're in the Thanksgiving week one, which I think that's the better. That's when everybody's home, and that's kind of fun to be around watching college basketball around Thanksgiving. Yeah. You're right. 12. What'd you say? Say that again. How many? The 8 bracket and then a 16-team bracket?
Yes,
right?
There's 8 and 16. There's the Players Era 8, which has I think Florida's a part of it, Houston, Kansas. That's that grouping. And then Thanksgiving week, I guess it's a week later. That first tournament happens November 16th. It's the Players Era 16, and that's the one that has reigning national champions Michigan in it. Baylor's a part of it. Gonzaga, Louisville, Tennessee, Iowa State, Miami, Texas Tech. There's a lot more big, like Kansas and Houston and West Virginia. There's Big 12 teams all over it, but 3 in the 8, and then a plethora, including Kansas State there in that 16. So Baylor's part of the 16-team bracket.
By the way, nice rollout Player Era. They had literally some random guy, and I'm going to start following him now because he obviously, I think I have followed him. Is that who was breaking some of that news, that Ryan Hammer guy or something? It was just funny because it was just a random Twitter account, had the entire bracket for both things, and there was no organized rollout. And then somebody reported, hey, by the way, ESPN has the broadcasting rights for this thing. And then I immediately went to the Baylor Twitter account thinking, oh man, cool. Baylor will want to play up that they're in this huge ESPN Players Era thing. Nothing. Because I'm sure they're waiting till they can officially put out the word or whatever. Oh, TCU's in that too.
Yes, they are.
On that Thanksgiving week.
The 16 one, yeah.
Z, I got good news and bad news for you. The good news is I love doing this with you so much that I'm going to need you to co-host the show next week. Only an hour. We're going to have an abbreviated 1-hour show next week. And I will be making appearances from Italy, from Europe.
Oh, okay.
I'm traveling the world abroad, but
globetrotting.
I just like the thought of, and again, y'all can lean on each other. I know, because the last thing in the world I would ever do to you, Z, is pile on extra work. I would never do that, even though I do it to you every week. But I kind of need you and Kev to help me next week.
Okay.
But I believe it with your presence, and again, I have lots of trust in Kev, but with your presence, I would feel even better. Okay. So we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it off air, but I would love to have you step in. And again, we're going to turn it into an hour show next week since I'm on vacation, quote vacation. I will be appearing every now and then, but I love the way you, and I was telling somebody just the other day, I just like what you bring to the show. So
thank you.
I think the combo of you and Kev would be my choice for a it's kind of like when Pete would take vacations, I think Scotty would take over.
Yeah.
I would feel most comfortable with you being heavily involved while I'm gone. Let me leave it at that. All right. We've got more to do. And then we're going to hear from the man we call Jake Lindsay later in the show. But I've got a couple of NBA nuggets coming up because the NBA playoffs are in full swing. And the Sixers blew one last night, and then Z-Man, look for this picture while we're at break. The fight, the altercation between, it wasn't really a fight, the verbal altercation between two Baylor players. What are you guys doing? All right, that is next.
When you strive for greatness, you have a target on your back. And when it comes to finances, we're all targets for scammers. With the right game plan, you can protect yourself. Don't get faked by fraud.
Here's a tip. Never deposit someone else's money into your bank account. Scammers will send you money or overpay you and then ask you to refund a portion of the money back to them. This is a scam.
This message is brought to you by Central National Bank.
The Riesel Fair is back and bigger than ever. Bring the whole family for a day packed with fun, from thrilling rides, delicious food, local vendors, and live music Friday night. Saturday music begins at 2 p.m. Admission is $5 for adults, 2 to 12 years, $3, 2 and under are free. Mark your calendar and join us for the Riesel Fair, May 7th through 9th. The Riesel Fair, where memories are waiting just for you. Bumblebee Blinds of Waco and Temple is your one-stop shop for custom window treatments, transforming your vision into reality. Choose from a selection of shades, blinds, shutters, and curtains. Bumblebee Blinds stands behind our service and products, ensuring peace of mind with our trusted warranty. Call Bumblebee Blinds today to schedule your design consultation. Bumblebee Blinds, simplifying window treatments one covering at a time. BumblebeeBlinds.com.
The reason that their service is outstanding because the people they have working, behind the desk, and the folks working out in the garage, taking care of business. And they give you a date, they give you a time, and they're spot on. And they're professional, they take care of it, and they answer all your questions, and they're fun to work with.
Like Alan Samuels always said, Waco has a lot to offer, and so do we at Alan Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Come by, let's be friends.
Enjoy a quiet atmosphere with beautiful river views at the Brazos Landing, located in Waco along the Brazos River across from McLean Stadium. Enjoy homemade dishes like shrimp and grits, chicken piccata, braised short ribs, prime New York steaks, and more. Plus, enjoy a delicious dessert like creme brulee or key lime pie. Open for lunch and dinner Tuesday through Sunday. Brazos Landing in Waco, the only place where I-35 and the Brazos River meet.
It's the premier charity event of the year, the 2026 Central Texas Cattle Barons Ball, presented by Ascension Providence. A fun evening filled with great food and drink, dancing, a spectacular auction, and more. This year's theme is Nashville Nights, Neon Lights, and Bullfights. Get your tickets now, donate, or be a sponsor. Help support the American Cancer Society to find a cure. The 2026 Central Texas Cattle Barons Ball, October 24th at MCC Highlander Ranch. For more information, go to centraltexascattlebaronsball.org.
Z-Man, it is the Mosley Show. Welcome back. Welcome back into I feel like I can just bring you into my home office. The Z-Man filling in for Kevin today, worried what Mosley might ask him to do next. I like to get a live show where Z really can't push back too much and then just really share with him all the things I need. And what a good sport. I tell you what, tomorrow's going to be a big day. We got this the Scott Drew Invitational. Renee has done a tremendous job out there putting everything together, spearheading a lot of this. Michael Hillman from Cornerstone, very successful local businessman in the Waco. I know his parents. His dad and I used to be sports writers together. His mom was a Baylor professor and was the Tridelt sponsor when my wife, my future wife, and my, she was, you know what I'm saying, 30 years ago, she was my future wife. And my sister were Tridelt. She was the Tridelt sponsor. So pretty neat deal. Pretty neat deal. It all kind of comes together. That Baylor family, okay, we're all sort of tied in there. And then we just anybody we can grab. I mean, even if the Z man hadn't taken a single class over there, we just say, Z, you drove through campus, you've been to games over there, you're a Baylor guy now. All right, alumni by choice. All right. Can you imagine people doing that? That's an interesting thing.
Can I do that? Can I just be an alumni by choice?
Yeah, no, I get the feeling they kind of want people to like donate some money to do that, but I would sponsor you in that. I would get behind you and say, hey, what do I have to do? Now, again, Z, you went to your own, where did you go to college?
MCC.
Okay. Here's the deal. That's, I mean, nowadays you can get a Texas Tech degree without ever leaving home, right? Mm-hmm. You can stay there at MCC and you can then say, I went to Texas Tech.
My brother actually did that. So yeah.
Really? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's doable. But since you've been in the shadows of Baylor throughout much of your life, I think we can do this for you. But again, what I don't want to do is if deep down you kind of root for the Longhorns or the Aggies, I'm not gonna support you for a Baylor alumni by choice. Now, if you find yourself rooting for the Bears against TCU and others, I will support your candidacy.
No, that's an easy yes. That's an easy yes. I'll tell you this, Matt, and I hope that I don't take away from any of the viewers here, but I always I have family that is Baylor alumni, and they were always, since my birth, were pushing very hard for me to cheer for that team. It wasn't until I got into the industry that we got into now and I actually had to cover the team, day in and day out, where I started to develop a love for the players that were there and the coaches. And so it just kind of grows on you a bit. And so it's easily the team I root for, when easily I then got to see as a kid, maybe growing up and rooting for the University of Texas, I saw the error in my ways. Like, you know what I mean? And I finally saw the light. And so there's nothing more that I love seeing now than a UT or TCU loss. So I feel like that looks good in my column, hopefully.
I like that. I think you just will use this video as kind of your application process. So we'd love to have you. And I'll talk to President Livingstone. I think they have some kind of ceremony on an annual basis with the alumni by choice. So I'll work on that. Now I told you I was going to bring up this NBA thing. Last night and Z, look at tonight's schedule. I got really worked up the other day about games overlapping, and I hated that. Give me tonight's schedule.
Yeah. And the first game is the Pistons, and I don't know. Cavs. I just had it, and I'm blanking. Thank you. The 6. Pistons and Cavs. Yep, 6, and then the Lakers and Thunder at 8:30.
Okay, and the Lakers are going to have to get a better performance. Okay, that's how you space it out. Mm-hmm. You're saying 8:30 Central. Okay, good.
Yes.
Good. Okay, that's fine. The other day, Peacock or NBC, somebody had both games, and they elected.
It was prime because I wanted to watch the Rockets and Lakers game, and they had the Cavs and Raptors running at the same time that they had game 6 or 7 of the Magic and Pistons going on.
Yeah, but this one was in the game 1 of these series the other night. And they had one game at 6, and they started the other game at 7:30. Last night they had them spaced out, and so it was fine. The one game was a non-game. I thought. By the way, the Vegas always knows Spurs were favored by 10 in that game, and they ran.
That was a butt kicking last night
out of the building. Yeah, I mean, obviously Wemby's unbelievable, but that Stephon Castle, oh my gosh. I feel like he might be that second borderline superstar on that team. You kind of need, and their point guard is somebody we all know. And so he might right now probably be the candidate for like the second star. Mm-hmm. But the way that Castle guy plays, I was just
Dude,
watching some of that game, and I just thought the way he carries himself and the way he finishes and stuff, it's just a different. He's kind of special.
Mm-hmm. I think that this team is actually, as much as it pains me as a team of another, or a fan of another team in state, but this Spurs team is really well put together. Like you said, Stephon Castle could very well be that second star, even on a team where they have De'Aaron Fox or Devin Vassell, who has turned into a nice little piece. I mean, obviously this is Wemby's team, but they have, to me, enough like other pieces to just make them all dangerous, of where if you want to focus on Wemby, they're going to kill you somewhere else, kind of thing. Like, I think that this is, the Spurs are kind of back to where they were. It's a little, obviously it's a different looking team than the, Popovich led Duncan, Ginobili, Parker teams, but they're still like, they still play just as good fundamental basketball.
Isn't it funny how scary this team is? And yet I don't think most of America could name their coach. Because once you're trained for so long to know that Pop is the coach at San Antonio for 20-something years, right?
Yeah. People forget that Mitch Johnson's taken over.
I think he's good.
Mm-hmm.
I think he looks kind of athletic over there in his black. I miss the old, I think we should go back to everybody wearing suits, in college included. But there's certain coaches who just kind of look better in that kind of outfit, and he's one of them. I also think that other guy looks kind of intimidating, even though the Rockets obviously, wimped out in the playoffs. That Udoka, whatever.
Yes,
he kind of looks solid in his warm-up suit over there.
He always does.
Intimidating looking guy.
He always has a bit of an attitude about him too. Like, and that's like, you want that swagger, but for some reason it doesn't necessarily always, move over to the team. But I've seen him obviously go to toe as a coach with LeBron and stuff in that swaggy looking jumpsuit. It looks nice.
I got sick of that in that Knicks Sixers game.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Mike Brown decided just to. And they won the game, obviously. The Sixers blew a great opportunity. And, man, our guy, we'll talk about him in a minute, but Edgecombe has had a really nice postseason. But he had 2 or 3 beautiful looks at threes that would have put the Sixers in a great spot. The game was tied. He misses an open 3 from the corner, misses 1 from not the corner, but over kind of the side. God, man. He had a good game, 17 points and 5 rebounds. He played like 39, 40 minutes. He just needed to hit one of those shots. And, but what I was saying is I thought Mike Brown was overcoaching. I mean, I've just never seen a coach like every possession he was calling timeout. He could not. He wouldn't let Brunson is a guy that likes to kind of get in a rhythm and, set up the offense. He wants the ball. He's going to find a way to score. For a while in that game, that Barlow was playing pretty good D on Brunson. Like there were some moments where I thought, ooh, okay, he's bothering them. He's bothering them a little bit. I kind of liked Barlow's defense. But Brunson and then Mikal Bridges hit that. I hate it when like Hart has been bad from distance in the postseason, and then he hits a huge 3. Bridges hit a gorgeous shot. Brunson's one of the best. Kevin will infuriate me sometimes. He just, on one hand, he watches stuff, and I want to be like, and he's way into the Pacers, and so I kind of respect the fact that he watches. What I couldn't do is I've had producers who you can just tell don't watch any of the games. And so they're always trying to give opinions and stuff based on either highlights or something they read or a box score. And that kind of kills me. But Kevin watches the stuff, but then what'll kind of kill me is then he'll come up with one of these opinions like Brunson's not clutch. Brunson's not clutch at all. And I'm like, have you watched this? Like the reason and I think it's based on because he's such a Pacers fan and the pace, Halliburton had that unbelievable series where he's hitting all those late shots. Well, I don't think that was so much of Brunson choking as Halliburton just hit some huge shots. And then who was the other guy for them? Not Mathurin, but like another one of their big time shooters.
Is Siakam still there, or is Siakam there?
Well, he hit, but he
didn't have any. Yeah.
It was one of those other.
Was it
one of
Never?
those other players?
Yeah.
It could have been Mathurin hit some big shots, but one of their other players. But anyway, and I've told him I'll never say again. I've told him never say this opinion again. Earlier this season, he threw down an opinion on Cooper Flagg.
Mm-hmm.
And I just told him, I'm like, Kev, please don't ever share that opinion publicly again. And so I'm not going to say what it was.
Okay.
But it's an opinion that, like, honestly, if we shared it knowing now, even at the time, it was a rough opinion. But now that he's rookie of the year, and I explained to him, I'm like, Kevin, you can't say things like that publicly. So anyway, so on one hand, I do kind of like the wild opinion, but if it's too wild, it kind of, I don't know. Like, I'll tell you one thing. I thought last night. Okay, before we finish that, I'll finish this thought on the Sixers thing.
Mm-hmm. I did find this. I should throw it up.
Okay. Sohan, who we love, he's a Baylor guy. And he's a Baylor guy, and he went to the lottery, and he went to the Spurs, but he's become. I guess he was trying because he colored his hair and he did all the wild stuff, and I think he was really trying hard to be the modern day Rodman, like the instigator, tall rebounder. I think the Spurs thought he was gonna. They tried to turn him into a point guard.
A point guard,
disaster. Yeah. But he's just a punk right now. I know, like my buddy John Jacobs and others think the world of this guy, and I know how smart he is. But it's embarrassing to turn into one of those like sideline chirping clowns.
Well, that's kind of what I thought. I remember a clip from earlier this year after he went to the Knicks, and they're in a timeout or it's like pregame warm-up, and like he's in his jersey and he's sitting there, and like Brunson, I think it was during a game, because like he's like they're talking, and Brunson or Sohan reaches over and like kind of like gooses Brunson, and Brunson just turns and looks at him like, what are we doing? Like when it's your own teammate for a minute of like, hey, like we have something going on here. Like that's never a good look.
And the Mavs had kind of a sideline mascot guy at the end of his career. He played at UNC, I believe, and his name was Theo Pinson. Mm-hmm. And he was would lead the sideline group, and I'm not saying there's not a place for, I know Scott and the Baylor people really value the energy their bench brings, and they even chart that out and make sure everybody's over there supporting their teammates. But Sohan's kind of to get first of all to get into it with Edgecombe. Now Edgecombe's not scared of anybody, and I'm not saying he doesn't bring a little havoc himself, but he backs it up. He plays 40 minutes a night.
Mm-hmm.
He's averaged 15 to 17 points a game as a rookie, and he's a starter in the league. He's their starting shooting guard for probably the next 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
He's awesome. Athleticism, rebounding, block shots, awesome person. I just hate it because Sohan's a nice, thoughtful, was a really, the only reason he ended up being in the lottery and leaving Baylor after a year is because people forget this. Jonathan Tchamwa had that horrible injury, and that created a spot for Jeremy. Jeremy was coming off the bench. Jeremy was supposed to return and be a big part of the following season, where he would have probably played with, just trying to think, who would have been part of that next season.
I'm trying to remember what year was
Would that have been Chianti? And or because one of those years was Walter and Misi, but I think that was 2023 season. Bottom line is that team that Sohan was on ended up being, that was the 2022 season, the season after the national championship, that ended up being a number 1 seed, even though they lost Chamwa Chachua. And of course, obviously he was never the same, even though he came back at some point during the 2023 season, maybe. Sohan would have come back to Baylor and would have been a part of a loaded 2023, 2014. Let me think. 2021-22 season was Sohan.
Yeah, because 22-23 is Keontae George, LJ Cryer.
Yeah. And then 23-24 would have been Walter and Misi and those guys. 24-25 was the idiot from, that's mean. We'll cut that out later. The young man from Duke, Jeremy Roach. What a disaster. Lesson learned. If somebody's shopping a Duke player, if Duke decides not to retain a starting guard, buyer beware. Buyer beware. Huh?
I said, unless somehow one of the Boozer kids decides they don't want to play in the NBA and they're looking to play somewhere else. Aside from that, then pass on somebody that Duke is shopping.
They're bringing back Caden, even though he had that infamous turnover. Can you imagine? All he had to do was literally just like stop and just kind of hole up and wait for them to foul him. And that sucker tried to throw the ball forward. And the rest is history. Who tipped that ball? Was that Demery, or was that the big man for UConn?
I don't remember. I'm not gonna lie.
That big man that transferred into UConn, he's the whole reason they won that game. I mean, Braylon hit the shot, but
yeah, the
only reason they had a chance at a comeback was that 6'9", 6'10" dude. Golly, for UConn. And now his name escapes me. I cannot believe I can't think of his name.
It's not the Terrace Reed Jr., is it? He's 6'11".
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Terrace.
Yes, Tarris. Terrace.
Yeah, him.
Terrace, yeah.
Terrace. Yeah, he was awesome in that game. What did he score in that game? 26-27. He was unbelievable in that game. What'd you say?
32 minutes he played. I thought it was 30, but he had 26 points. You're right.
All right, let's.
Go ahead. Yeah. 9 rebounds, almost a double-double. He was all over that game.
Demery had some good moments in that game. And then the great Mullins. You know, my favorite Mullins in life is
Chris.
No. Chris Mullins was awesome, but
let me think of how many other Mullins I can think of. Dan?
The late, great Christian contemporary music singer, songwriter, Rich Mullins. Faith without works. It's like a song you can't sing. It's about as useless as a screen door on a submarine. Yeah. He did that one, and then he did Our God is an Awesome God. Now that's my favorite Mullins. You know that one?
I do know that one, yeah.
You've been out there before, getting the hands up every once in a while.
I'm not much of a charismatic guy. I'm telling
hands will kind of. I've had some friends lately that I noticed kind of do a little bit of this.
Just hold it out like that.
I was shocked. I was kind of shocked. I mean, one buddy of mine who shall remain nameless, recently I saw him up there and he was doing something on stage, and he got the spirit got into him a little bit. He kind of got the hands up at this level. My hands, man. The hands stay down. Yeah, that's okay. I like Highland or wherever they do all that. I do not discriminate if the hands get involved in the stuff. It used to be when I was in school, it was either Highland or somewhere like that. Jimmy or somebody named Jimmy was somewhere, and they would really get those hands moving. And then it became something else, like Antioch. I don't know if Jimmy was Antioch or the other one. But I always heard, I don't think I ever went out there to see it in person. That I was at that stage, that stuff scared me. When I saw somebody get the hands up, I thought, oh my gosh, we're going to get some snakes in here. All right. Let's cut that too. Let's cut that in post-production. No. All right. It is the Mosley Show. We're going to hear a little bit from our interview the other day from and it was really, I think you're going to enjoy this with Jake Lindsay. Just a little bit of that the Z-Man has trimmed up for us. We're going to do a little bit of that next.
When you strive for greatness, you have a target on your back. When it comes to finances, we're all targets for scammers. But with the right game plan, you can protect yourself. Don't get faked by fraud.
Here's a tip. If you get a call saying they're going to lock you in jail for missing jury duty unless you pay a fine, that's fake. Scammers use scare tactics to force you to act without thinking. Just hang up the phone.
This message is brought to you by Central National Bank.
This year, I made a New Year's resolution. I want every business to own a new copier from CTWP. Call me, Leroy the Copier Dog. Let's get you a copier delivered today. CTWP, your local copier company.
At Schmaltz Sandwich Shop, we don't just make sandwiches, we build them with fresh ingredients, bold flavors, and homemade baked bread every single day. Toasty on the outside, goodness on the inside. Schmaltz Sandwich Shop in Waco is locally owned and operated since 1975 with 2 locations in Waco, Town West off Valley Mills and downtown off 5th Street. Whether it's lunch, dinner, or just a craving, we got the perfect bite waiting for you.
Lake Waco Golf Club is a semi-private facility nestled along the north point of Lake Waco, one of the few facilities in Texas to have a full 18-hole regulation golf course as well as an executive 18-hole par 3 golf course. Plus, check out their bar and grill, which is open to the public. And if you're not a golfer, then enjoy time by the pool or even enjoy fishing around Lake Waco. Become a member today and call to book your tee time. Lake Waco Golf Club, where family and friends fun begins. Check them out at lakewacogc.com for more information.
The Riesel Fair is back and bigger than ever. Bring the whole family for a day packed with fun, from thrilling rides, delicious food, local vendors, and live music Friday night. Saturday music begins at 2 p.m. Admission is $5 for adults, 2 to 12 years, $3. 2 and under are free. Mark your calendar and join us for the Riesel Fair, May 7th through 9th. The Riesel Fair, where memories are waiting just for you.
It is the Mosley Show. Thank you, Central National Bank. And thank you also to the Landing, the Brazos Landing. There it is. Always love talking about the Lindsay family over there. We were talking about Zach Lindsay and what a time it is. But go check out the Brazos Landing. You'll love it. I was seeing if it was still pretty out. Here in Dallas it is. I have to assume in Waco. It's pretty too. Z, have you looked out the window? Is it nice? Is it nice there?
Yeah, it looks okay.
Okay. So
no, maybe, I mean it's like the highs in the 70s. We're supposed to get rain tomorrow, but it's just a little cloudy. It's not too bad.
Ooh, not on the Scott Drew Invitational Day. Oh gosh. Have we come up with a plan B? Hopefully it's pretty tomorrow. I'm hearing good things. We'll just think good thoughts for tomorrow's. I'm going to be out there tomorrow. Z-Man, I'm going to do, I think I'll try to make 11 to 1 work instead of my usual 1 to 3. It'll throw the whole thing off. Our daily audience, they'll be very upset, but we'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll figure it out as we go. and that will be fun. We'll just kind of play it by ear. It'll be a little bit of a loose, what we like to call kind of a looser show tomorrow, as if today was real tight. I mean, I don't know if today we had everything nailed down, but we had a fun show.
Yeah. I thought we did pretty decent.
I thought I'd give it like a B+. Hey, Z-Man, do you want me to throw to this? I was just texting you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Is that what we want to do?
Yeah, you can. I have it set up. Do you want to come back after to close out then, or do you just want to?
No, let's just go into the night.
Okay.
Or if you want me to, I will. I'll close it out.
No, I can close out with some commercials and then take us to break afterwards.
I love yes. People will be accused. Don't be telling people Mosley's taking off early. All right, Z-Man, thank you, buddy. Great work today, as always. What Z did, I've had a lot of people bring this up, and a lot of them are Baylor people that they were just excited. I've got some stuff on feedback on socials that they loved this interview we did with Jake Lindsey. And Jake is now back as the assistant coach and the slash GM of Baylor basketball. And so what the Z-Man was able to do on the fly, which and I don't know how he does this, but he figures it out, is he put a little quick kind of edited it down a little bit but I just wanted to share some of the high points with you, because I think you're going to learn a lot about the wings on this team, the guards, and then just kind of what Jake hopes to accomplish. I just think Scott has knocked it out of the park with bringing back Jerome, putting Jake in there. And again, I just think a lot of our Baylor audience that maybe missed this the other day or hasn't caught it on our shorts and the different things that we put up, I think you'll really enjoy this. Here is, and then again, tomorrow, catch us at 11 a.m. I think I'm just going to come on after Barfield wraps up. We'll just move him right out of there. In fact, I'm going to have security grab him and lead him off the course. And then I'll come on and do my 2 hours. And we'll be out at the 6th hole. Is this going to work from a technical standpoint? I've got no clue. But I'll be out there talking as if people are listening to me. Okay, well, look at the camera. That was a neat little tracking moment. Just kind of at the end of the show, the camera just took a little turn. The Z-Man, when he fills in, it just puts me in a great mood. Nothing against Kevin, because I love Kevin. I mean, that long hair, I think, scares people. But other than that, he's a nice young man. His Colts and Pacers affiliation is a little much for my taste, but he's a good guy. And but the Z-Man, see, he's a Rangers fan. He's all the Texas sports, not University of Texas, but Baylor, big fan. So I can relate to him some days a little bit better. Great to have him today, as always. We will now let you hear just a little bit of my interview that I had earlier this week with Jake Lindsey, former Baylor great, and he's now the assistant head coach, the assistant coach / GM for the Baylor Bears. Here's a little sampling. This is exciting. As you were getting ready to come on, I'm like, wait, can I say this? This is official now. We can actually discuss this. I started about 2 months early on this, Jake, at hinting, and I'd heard maybe, you were going to have an opportunity, and I think you were weighing things and all of that. So for all of this to come to fruition is a pretty awesome deal. Now, Jake, for people that don't know, you had your first daughter arrive to join her 2 brothers. Young Emery arrived within the past week or so. You were putting together a portal class. I do think you had a great job that you're coming from, and you wanted to, end that on great terms, as I'm sure you did. So you've probably had some busy times in your life, but I would say in your work career, was this about as hectic as it's ever been?
Yeah, I would say this one probably took the cake, Matt. We had a few hectic years with Bryce at Grand Canyon. Just, a couple of years ago, you had the COVID year, so there were so many guys in the portal, and I think there was one year we had to sign 9 guys in the portal, and that one was pretty hectic. But with you add on having Emory and changing jobs, and then not being on site all the time, this one probably took the cake.
Did Scott recruit you for this almost as aggressively like as the old days? And I think Grant McCaslin, our great friend, was still at Baylor. And as I recall, you telling me was your primary recruiter at the time. Did Scott stay after you, or did he give you a little space? What was it? Did it almost feel like you were being recruited again, like the old days?
A little bit. We had talked about some things. I was working with Bryce for 3 years. So, while I was with Bryce, obviously, I talked to Scott quite a bit. So there was a little bit of built-in familiarity, and I think there were some things Coach Drew wanted to work through on his end. And then I needed to talk to my wife and my family and my dad as well, who was looking at a few things. And, when the opportunity did end up presenting itself, we were really, really excited. But Coach Drew was great. When it was funny, coming out of high school, they didn't recruit me until really late. Basically July going into my senior year was when they actually started recruiting me. And so I had a lot of opportunity to look at other options before I ended up choosing Baylor. And this time was a little bit similar in the sense that I had a few other things to consider, but I would say he knew how to push 18-year-old Jake's buttons pretty well. This time around, with my family being involved and having kids, he was really patient, and I was really grateful for that.
He knows how to push people's buttons. That's a good way to.
Yeah, 18-year-old me, he just got me on campus and it was over. So
yeah.
My dad called it. He told me that was how it was going to go. So
yeah. And for people that don't know, your dad played at Baylor and obviously became the GM for the Utah Jazz, and went on to become the Pistons assistant GM and everything. So that Jazz experience had to be so cool, because your career sadly ended with a hip injury at Baylor. We wanted you, and I know you were trying like crazy to come back for your senior year. I was looking at it a minute ago. You get to the Jazz when Donovan Mitchell had just been taken the 13th pick overall. And in terms of like where he was picked, that's got to go down as one of the great NBA draft picks ever, quite honestly. Him coming out of Louisville, playing for Coach Pitino there. But that had to be a fun time to get to the Jazz, because before he and Rudy got a little bit at odds there, we all remember that, like around 2020, that had the makings of something pretty special, didn't it?
Yeah, it was a really fun time, and it was really unique for me because Donovan was on that Louisville team that we played in the Bahamas. So it was a guy that was actually my age, and it was funny. Him, and King kind of knew each other from high school. And I went to the draft workout that Donovan. There's a legendary draft workout that Donovan had, and just seeing his progression of someone that was my age. And then it was a couple years later that I joined as an intern for the draft process. And then COVID hit. About 12 months into me working with the Jazz, COVID hit, and so you're kind of interning, working remote, trying to understand what the world was like at that time. And it was really interesting because obviously at the Jazz, we were at the front end of COVID with some of the events that happened. And just to watch how the group kind of battled back. And, the next year they had the number 1 seed in the country, or in the league. I think they had the number 1 regular season record. And I think we lost in the second round that year. Mm-hmm. And then when my dad stepped down, was a senior advisor, I got to work with Justin Zanuck and Danny Ainge as well for about a year and a half. And that took us right up to about 2022. And that's when NIL started. And I still remember when Nigel Pack signed that deal to go to Miami. And I remember thinking like, okay, this is never going to be the same. Mm-hmm. And then an opportunity opened up at Grand Canyon with Coach Drew's brother. And my dad was with the Rockets when they drafted Bryce. So we almost went back as far with Bryce as we did with Scott. And all that kind of led to kind of where we are today.
Yeah, and we just saw Nigel Pack. Baylor was playing in that what do we call that? That thing in the Fox that was on
the
Fox,
Crown.
The Crown, yeah. And there's Nigel Pack, like 7 years later, still playing for the Sooners.
Yeah, heck of a career.
I would say, yeah, very well-traveled career. How are you I mean, this portal that y'all put together, and I know the portal never totally shuts down. It's funny, there's like, you think, okay, that thing's done, right? And then Tennessee signs Juke from Wake Forest for $5 million. And then how about that one a few days ago? It's like every team got their 7'2" guy. It's like, wait, are these handing these guys out like candy, you know? And obviously you're having to pay for, and some of these guys are G League players. I mean, you didn't just see it change. I mean, you saw it just become a completely different thing. But everything you've done with the NBA and even recently, for people that don't know, your NIL job that was kind of in the medical insurance world, like obviously you were on a coaching track. You were with Coach Drew's brother Bryce, and I know he loved you. What was it about that NIL space that you thought, you know what, this might be an interesting place to pivot? Because I think it ended up benefiting you, I'm sure, but it had to be kind of an interesting decision because part of you thought, well, am I getting out? You know, and what did you do in that, and what did you learn?
So I finished last portal with Bryce at Grand Canyon, and then after the portal, I left. I took a job at a company called Players Health, and Players Health is a really unique sports insurance organization. They're one of the largest sports insurers in the country. So the core business is like youth and amateur sports. So they would underwrite the general liability for like USSSA or USA Hockey or Gold's Gym. And the CEO of that company saw an opportunity from an insurance perspective with all these contracts coming in-house with revenue sharing and kind of the third-party contracts that, you know, those are major liabilities that universities and often donors are taking on. And he wanted me to come help kind of launch the collegiate division of this sports insurance company. So I left coaching and kind of the dual role I had at Grand Canyon to do business development and oversee the data for that company. Because we adapted, while I was at Grand Canyon, we adapted some of the data processes we used in the NBA as far as how you value players. And if you think about that, that's really not that dissimilar to underwriting. So got to have a little bit of experience with kind of underwriting some insurance, and then kind of seeing how different colleges and universities were structuring their revenue sharing contracts, their third party contracts, and kind of got to see the lay of the land from a different perspective, which I thought was I really enjoyed that. I got to work with different coaches and, you know, go back and forth on ideas on not only how they structure the roster, but how they, you know, planned to kind of mitigate the risks that some of these contracts do create. And so I think you've seen articles about NIL insurance, and that's just one product of a really interesting environment from a business perspective. If you think about it, there's going to be a couple $1 billion worth of contracts written. And there are options where if an athlete gets hurt or if they get in trouble or if there's a bonus in the contract to mitigate the risks associated with that. So getting to look at that from a kind of a bird's eye lens, I thought was really unique and an opportunity that I wanted to explore. And frankly, it was one I was planning to stay in for a couple of years, while maybe the landscape of college athletics hopefully, you know, got more transparent. You were hoping that with the House settlement and the following rules that you would, you know, have a little bit, maybe more guardrails on this, but I think we're still working through what the system's going to look like long term. I think there's probably going to be a few more iterations of that before we all arrive at something that is sustainable.
Okay. So if I have some issues with my Blue Cross Blue Shield, can I just show you kind of what I'm experiencing?
Yeah, man. There's insurance for a lot more than I expected in this space. You know, there were big quarterback contracts that you get to see, and if a quarterback goes down, that can be a pretty detrimental thing to not just the football team, but to the whole athletic department. And so that was something, I was actually working with Doug inside of he was a potential customer as he was being onboarded, and then ended up pivoting to this role.
What if a quarterback has like a gambling addiction? Okay, no, we don't have to do that.
No comment there.
What the GM assistant coach role, even in this short time you've had that, what was your role in? I know you were, being consulted on this latest portal class and everything. What do you find yourself? Do you like to get involved? Were you already involved in trying to get those contracts done? And hey, let's assess. I mean, were they, because you were having to do a whole bunch of stuff, but were you looking at film, looking at contracts, all of those things?
Yeah, I was fully involved in this process that we just undertook. So but I would say I would note, the staff that Coach Drew has put together is really, really impressive. I was really excited to work with Tweety, excited to work with Ron, excited to work with Coach Tang, excited to work with Ty and Gabe and Matt, and really the whole staff. There was a real draw for me to. I was really excited to work with people that I trust and people that I truly do believe can get it done. And no one really does this on their own. There's no magic formula. You have to have a lot of really good people who are really committed to working together to find the best solutions, and kind of then once you find the solutions you think that fit Baylor, working together to make sure it gets executed on as well.
Did Jerome ever have to get after you a little bit? Like,
man, Coach Tang's been getting after me since I was 18. So, but I do think his perspective as a guy who was just recently a head coach in the league, someone who his first year went to the Elite Eight, almost won the league, I believe, that year. His eye for elite talent, and just frankly, like, hey, this guy is good enough. You can't replace experience and frankly confidence like that. And Coach Chances has that as well. He identified so many pros at Virginia, and under the radar guys, 5-star guys. They really had it all. And it's such a different system than Coach Drew's, but just those two guys and their eye for talent, and then Tweety's ability to, relate to players and, build relationships. It really, I thought I was walking into a really good situation to be able to serve and support those guys. Okay.
They Bears get Caden Mingo from Penn State. Later, they end up with his younger brother, Dylan Mingo, sort of I don't know if it's a package deal, because obviously y'all love Caden Mingo, but you had recruited Dylan Mingo. He commits to UNC. They have a coaching change. That has to be very exciting, because he's a top 10 recruit. You already have Elijah Williams coming in, but just that's I wanted to get your thought on Decker, Mingo. We may have to wait on Dylan for a little bit. You retain Isaac Williams, but what made Baylor great, and you were one of them, but those guards. And when they were at their best, not that you don't need great front court players. Vital will listen to this and get mad if I don't, mention him somehow. But Scott functions best, I think you would agree, when he's got great guards. What do you like about this combination of guards before we talk about those other guys that you've put together?
Yeah, and before we get to the players, I really appreciated that Coach Drew had a very clear vision coming out of last year, what he wanted this year's roster to look like. And that really went on both ends. I think we talk a lot about offense, but clearly the defensive end is where we needed to improve, statistically the last couple of years. And so, Coach had a vision for what he wanted the backcourt to look like. And that starts not just with a particular skill set, but the level of player that coach is accustomed to coaching at those positions. And I think, last year, I think there was some unfortunate stuff that happened last portal that really affected maybe the available talent pool that they had for that position. But the nice thing is, going in on the front end, you knew what our focus was going to be. And that actually, that started with Isaac. I think it's easy to start with the new acquisitions, but for a guy like Isaac to come to Baylor, to develop, to perform well, and to decide that he wanted to be here for the rest of his career, that to me is a lot more important than most people give it credit for. Because when someone chooses to be a part of something and then stay, it signals to other people on the outside that, man, there's something really attractive about Baylor. There's something unique about that place that, Isaac, and then I would add Mayo and Perez and Bodo and Iggy and James and Drew, that those guys wanted to stay and wanted to be a part of it. That when you tell other guys that are coming in, like, hey, this is what we have back, that's one of the first questions most transfers ask is, who am I playing with? So to have a guy like Isaac that you can tell, like, hey, this is one piece that you're going to be playing with. When you go to a guy like Brett and a guy like Caden, it gives them kind of a rock. Okay, like there's something stable here. There's a foundation that you can build. And Brett, I think, went first. And we were up against some heavy hitters for his talent. And I think what really jumped out to us was there was a level of alignment, not only from a basketball perspective, but from who Brett is as a person, his background, where he's coming from at Liberty. I think our environment is not like Liberty in every respect, but from a faith background, there's an alignment. And from a play style, Coach McKay does an unbelievable job with his offensive system, and they're one of the hardest teams to scout in the country. So that he knew Coach Sanchez really well. He knew Coach Drew really well. And that was a team 2 years ago when I was at Grand Canyon. That was my scout. We went to Liberty, and we played the core of the team that Brett played with. So they had three, Colin Porter, Caden Matheny, and Zach Cleveland, who the core of that team had been together for a very long time. And then they imported Brett, and Brett ended up being the leading scorer. And that was not that. It's like walking into a really established team and becoming, that prominent of a role. That was something I could tell the staff, like, that's not an easy, he had other really good players that were willing to play with him and allow him to do what he does. And that gave us great confidence that what he's going to do is going to translate at our level. And then once you had him on the board, there were a lot of good point guard options available to us. A lot of people saw the opportunity to play point guard at Baylor and what Coach Drew has done with point guards. I think in the last 20 years, he's had 18 different all-conference point guards. And that's before you even start talking about the NBA guys. So we had a lot of really good options. And Caden was a guy that we were really, really excited about from the beginning, just his age. He played his whole freshman season as a true 18-year-old. And typically when you look at guys, for their NBA projections, guys who produce before they're 19 years old, that's a really, really strong indicator of future upside, because the biggest jump you typically make is between 18 and 21 from a statistical perspective. So that piece, his defensive acumen, his ability to break the paint and find the open guy was something we really missed last year if you watched us play, and his ability to, on the other end, set the line of the defense. So when you had a guy like Brett, had a guy like Isaac, getting those two rocks down, it really allowed you to narrow your focus of like, okay, who's the high-level players that can play with those guys? And we thought Caden was the perfect fit. So we were really excited when he decided to join. And that was irrespective of any other decision that potentially was going to come along with it. Caden's a guy that we think down the road is going to put an NBA jersey on. So we need to give him the right environment to develop. And we have several guards, Isaac and Brett and some other guys that we think, truly have pro upside as they get further into their careers. And the other thing I would mention is all those guys having multiple years of eligibility. I think the coolest thing for me was I got to see Davion and Macio's redshirt year while Jared was playing, while Devontae was playing. And you saw that those guys had multiple years to grow together and be in the gym together. And there was like an identity that they built as a group that really translated to a lot of on-the-court success.
When you strive for greatness, you have a target on your back. When it comes to finances, we're all targets for scammers. But with the right game plan, you can protect yourself. Don't get faked by fraud.
Here's a tip. Don't buy from social media ads unless the ad is from a verified company. When you click those ads, you open yourself up to fraud. If it seems too good to be true, it almost always is.
This message is brought to you by Central National Bank.
Enjoy a quiet atmosphere with beautiful river views at the Brazos Landing, located in Waco along the Brazos River across from McLean Stadium. Enjoy homemade dishes like shrimp and grits, chicken piccata, braised short ribs, prime New York steaks, and more. Plus, enjoy a delicious dessert like creme brulee or key lime pie. Open for lunch and dinner Tuesday through Sunday. Brazos Landing in Waco, the only place where I-35 and the Brazos River meet.
Bumblebee Blinds of Waco and Temple is your one-stop shop for custom window treatment, transforming your vision into reality. Choose from a selection of shades, blinds, shutters, and curtains. Bumblebee Blinds stands behind our service and products, ensuring peace of mind with our trusted warranty. Call Bumblebee Blinds today to schedule your design consultation. Bumblebee Blinds, simplifying window treatments one covering at a time. BumblebeeBlinds.com.